We can turn to J.L. Mackie's take on this. To say that inanimate objects can stand in moral relations to each other, and on naturalism, objects are the only things that exist, is absurd. What does it mean for one object to stand in a moral relation with another object? It's meaningless.
First off, I'll assume that you meant just objects, not inanimate objects, since human beings are clearly not inanimate objects. Second, you've also misconstrued J.L. Mackie now. Now you've hit the trifecta. Mackie thought that moral claims were cognitively meaningless. That is, he thought they had no truth value. But that doesn't mean that he thought they were meaningless, period. They can mean an awful lot to us. It's just that these are not things that are true or false. You're making it sound like Mackie was a moral nihilist, which he was not. He was simply a non-cognitivist. Now, speaking more generally, you're also misconstruing naturalism. You are right that on a naturalist worldview, there are objects, but you are wrong when you say that according to the naturalist worldview, objects are the only things that exist. Here's a short list of things that exist even in a naturalistic world. Brotherhood, sisterhood, motherhood, fatherhood, friendship, neighbors, neighborhoods, velocity, mass, time, up, down, left, right, front, back, color, sound, anger, sorrow, remorse, compassion, excitement, and depression. None of these are things in the sense in which you can knock your fingers against them, but they all arise out of things and their relationship to other things. I think I know what's going on here. You're tacitly assuming Democritus's view of naturalism, which holds that nothing exists except atoms and the void. Now, as much as I love the pre-Socratics, you really got to try to keep up with more recent developments in our understanding of nature. Let me use a purely scientific example. Liquidity and solidity. No atom is solid or liquid. These terms have no meaning at the atomic scale. But when you put enough atoms together in the right relationships to each other, then solidity and liquidity emerge. They are emergent properties, to use a technical term. Likewise, no single cell is conscious. That term has no meaning on the cellular scale. But put enough cells of the right kind together and consciousness emerges. Now, to bring it back to morality, there is no moral law inherent in the world itself. That term has no meaning in such a context. But once you put several conscious entities together, systems of value emerge, just as systems of social structure, law, fashion, aesthetics, and so forth emerge. There's nothing mysterious, immaterial, or metaphysical about any of this. This is just how nature works.
The ethical skeptic watching this video might feel tempted to ask, why does God solve the is-ought gap and feel as if he has won the day? The problem is that God's commands are not themselves descriptive, but are prescriptive.
My commands aren't descriptive either. I'll give you an example. Stop bastardizing philosophers that you don't fully understand. There. See that? Perfectly prescriptive. If God's command can bridge the is-ought gap, then why can't mine? Or why can't society at large, for that matter? You're right that these are not transcendental, but the way you defined transcendental, something that's true regardless of what anyone thinks, God's commands aren't transcendental either, because they depend on what God thinks. So morality isn't transcendent on either account. Or, as you put it,
this is why transcendental morality cannot exist.
Now, I could bring up some other stuff like the Euthyphro dilemma and a bunch of other little problems here, but I think I'm actually going to save that for another video. So let me close with this. You challenged Don Exodus to a debate about the meta-ethics of theism versus secular humanism. Now, I have tremendous respect for Don Exodus. He's a very smart guy, but his training is in biology. Having him debate meta-ethics would probably be like me debating evolution. I know a fair bit about it, but I'm no expert. If you want to debate someone, Migkiller, I happily offer myself. I realize that I'm not as high profile and hence not as great of a get as Don Exodus would be, but I am confident that I would be a much more formidable opponent on the topic at hand.